Mel, 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 Mel. Everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everyone, Cantonese Cat here. There are a couple of rumors I want to dispute. First of all, I'm not this guy. I'm not Danny Cheng. We're different. I'm a cat. This is a person. Obviously, this doesn't look like a cat to you, does it? So we're totally different entities. He is apparently a social media influencer. That's not who I am. I'm just a cat. He has close to about 10K followers here on X. For those who only follow me on YouTube, which I find it to be rare because I tend to have most followers on X. But I do have a good friend. His name is Danny. He posts some pretty interesting chart. I want to show you. But I just want to dispute with two things. One is I'm not him. So now that I said that I'm not him, there are probably going to be a bunch of you that think I'm him because I have to take up, the ridiculous response to say that I'm not him, which is kind of like a little bit of a circular reference. But anyway, the second thing I want to dispute is that we're not in a romantic relationship whatsoever, right? I have Mrs. Cat. I love Mrs. Cat. He's a very kind dude. He's very loving. Don't ask me how I know that, but it's not because we have any kind of romantic relationship at all whatsoever. His romantic relationship preferences are very, very unique, and you can ask him more about it if you like. We're different entities, but we like to share the same passion, and it's not the kind of passion that you're thinking about. The passion that we have is for technical analysis. He has a different mindset when it comes to that. He's a lot more objective than I am. He uses different tools than I do. And this is his website, not website, this is his profile. His handle on X, formerly known as Twitter, is Danny Cheng 2022. And he's not paying me whatsoever to talk about this. I'm just doing it out of the kindness of my heart because I find his stuff interesting and I want him to get the recognition that he deserves. If he deserves it. That's completely up to you. He does have a Patreon. Now, on X, he does occasionally post some very unique charts here that I'm going to go through here a little bit. He does post a lot of, really interesting charts here. And we share a lot of interest in the same stocks. But he also has a Patreon. If you go to his Patreon, what you're seeing here, again, he's not paying me to make any kind of promotions or anything like that. He does occasionally post these kind of free charts here that you can see, and I'm just going to pull up a couple things here to kind of talk about the way that he's looking at things. First of all, I'm looking to pull up the this SOFI daily chart over here, and what you can see is he has a very, very nice setup for a few panels. The first panel over here is a little bit busy, but what you're seeing here, you have a lot of volume shelves over here. These bars over here kind of tell you some key resistance and support levels. That's not really a key thing that we really look at per se, but it's there to help you if you want to. It does come out with all these red ribbon, blue ribbon, red ribbon, blue ribbon. Red ribbon basically says that it's a little bit of a bull trend and based on moving averages, and blue ribbon basically saying that you're in a bear trend. Now, these things does kind of cycle. Bull trend doesn't last forever. Bear trend doesn't last forever either. And you're trying to figure out the trends here. Now, you also have a little bit of a Bollinger Band that's being shown here as well. And then on top of that, you also get these like red candle and yellow candle here. So a red candle basically tells you that there's a buy signal. Yellow candle here basically tells you there's a sell signal. Right? And if you're looking at the second panel underneath, this actually tells you what the big money inflow is doing. If you have green, it's a little bit counterintuitive the way the colors are, but red basically means it's good, like it's hot. Basically means that you have a lot of inflow that could be coming from big money, and green basically means that you have more of like an outflow, right? So we can look at the trend in terms of big money inflow and outflow by looking at this oscillator over here, which is a very, very helpful way for you to think about is the trend having more, whale inflow, institutional inflow, or is the trend having more institutional outflow, right? So that tells you a lot of, really great information here. And based on this, it gives you either a buy signal or a sell signal. And then down here, this is like a hot chart right here. The way to interpret it is it's based on, the data is kind of based on hominy. So the data here supposedly reflects the percentage of institutional whales versus traders versus retail. So what you want to see is for a very strong trend to be happening, you want to see a lot of big institution with big red bars down here, basically saying that there's a big whale presence. So the stock is strong at that particular moment. When you have more green, that means that you have more retail coming in, and retails are just gobbling it up when the institution is trying to load to retail. That's the general thought. Now, the yellow bars basically means that they are traders that comes in and out. So having a yellow bar doesn't really mean one way or another, because you're always going to have some traders that are going to come here and there. But that's generally the idea. And down here is the MACD. So this is a daily chart. This is daily MACD. And then down here is the RSI. He has 3 sets of RSI based on, I think he does like 9, 14, and 24. And depending on how the RSI kind of stack up against one another, you can tell whether or not there could potentially be some bullish momentum versus bearish momentum. So that's kind of how the whole system is being set up here. Now, right off the bat, if you look at this is a SOFI daily chart. You look over here, you have a sell signal over there. It's not entirely sure whether or not I necessarily buy that. The sell signal came, I think, is because initially you have a buy signal over here, which actually didn't really end up going anywhere. The buy signal actually ended up being at the same level as the sell signal. This buy signal also ended up being the same level as the sell signal over here. So there's a lot of noise that's going on around here. I can kind of show you in a little bit as to why I think that is. But it's very interesting that the reason why you have the sell signal is because there is a little bit of a decrease in well inflow, and there might be a little bit of a increase in outflow over here over the last day or two. Again, this is a daily chart. It's going to be subjected to a lot of fluctuation, a lot more noise compared to higher time frames. But so far there's a sell signal here because you did have a little slight decrease in well inflow over here, and you also have a little bit of a decrease in terms of institutional presence, if you will. So all of this, and also the RSIs are kind of pointing down and kind of trending down to the negative direction. So based on all of this stuff here is giving you a sell signal over here. But to be honest, the sell signal is also happening in the context of the blue ribbon, which is the bearish ribbon, stopping, and it's starting to turn into a red ribbon over here. So red ribbon generally is more of a bullish sign, right? So it's a little bit of a mixed signal here, but you also tell that these buy and sell signal also has not been really entirely reliable for really over the last several weeks, for a couple of months, because there's just a lot of noise fluctuating between all of that. You also see that the MACD is supposed to be bullish, but it's kind of crawling over a little bit. So you have a lot of these really ambiguous signals, and it's having a lot of buy and sell signal all around. It's a little bit hard to interpret, but if you look at the weekly, I think the weekly is going to tell you a little bit of a better picture here. In terms of weekly, I do think that this is subjected to a lot less noise. I like to chart, like when I chart things, I like to chart weekly anyway. I rarely really go to the daily chart. Sometimes when I'm trying to make a point, I do it daily, but generally I like to look at a higher time frame. And the sell signal and the buy signal over here is a lot less noise. Although the buy signal here did fail, the sell signal here turned out to be pretty good. The buy signal here turned out to be pretty good too. But they're still going to be subjected to a lot of noise here. Now, you do see that for the bigger moves, you can see that the buy signal over here turned out to be pretty good, right? And the sell signal over here turned out to be pretty good, right? So overall, it does tend to give you, some pretty decent buy and sell signal. And this actually works out even better if you look at the monthly, if you are interested in looking at these kinds of time frames, not just look at the daily, because again, daily, if you're a day trader, you can look at these data, see institutional inflow, outflow. Those are very valuable data you can look at, and you can, get into Danny's Patreon if you like. I personally, I don't like to, really pay for anything, so I just don't do that. But he has really good data, and we talk, and he's able to share with me. I think it's very interesting. If you look at the inflow outflow data, like if you're just trying to get a better trend in terms of what SOFI is doing on the weekly chart, I gotta say, I actually like this. This whole area around here, I can tell you why the daily, first of all, why was the daily unreliable? If you look at daily, this is my trading view version of the daily chart. Why is the daily so unreliable? Why is it subjected to a bunch of noise? It's because there's really not a whole lot of volume with these kinds of moves. Like over the last few weeks, that was what the daily chart is here showing you, right? Over the last few weeks, the volume has just been low. So you're getting subjected to a bunch of noise. There's not really a whole lot of inflow outflow data for you to really interpret. Like I get the some of the data too, that you can extrapolate. Sometimes you can find these data from Black Cat. It also gives you kind of like the big money institution inflow and outflow oscillating kind of data too. It's not as detailed as Danny's, obviously, but you still get some buy signals here and there that don't necessarily work out. You don't really have sell signals here though for the Black Cat. Just that's just a little bit of a caveat. But there's just been a lot of noise because it's just been kind of low volume. Like it's not really been doing a whole lot of things. But if you look at it weekly, and I like to look at the weekly chart in comparison to what Danny's chart is seeing, is this. And I think it's very important to take into context, not just look at the daily chart, but also look at a weekly chart, because it tells you a very completely different kind of picture here. What you're seeing here, this is a big giant, candle that really brought the price all the way up to the double digits. And this right here, this area right here is equivalent to like these areas right here, where there's a gigantic buying pressure over here with big volume to push the price up all the way to like the double digits up here. And then since then, there's been a lot of, kind of traders kind of ranging sideways. And that's kind of what you're seeing over here too with Danny's chart. Since there's just been a lot of like trading sideways over here, there was a big giant red ribbon over here because of the weekly, buying. You can see significant inflow has gone up, right? And this oscillator kind of staying at like a higher level too afterwards. And you can also see that since this big giant red candle, this big giant move over here for SOFI, there has been a lot more institutional presence, even though it's been just kind of fluctuating up and down, right? So has price. Price has just kind of been fluctuating up and down. So as far as I'm concerned, actually, weekly chart doesn't look that bad in terms of institutional ownership versus retail. You still have, a lot more institution actually owning this compared to, retail over here. So I actually think that they are coming in. And if I show you the data from fintel.io, there's also some slight increase in institutional buying over the last, few months as well. So the data matches. The thing about it is that it's just been oscillating here for a very, very long time. It's been oscillating around here for a very long time, for closer to almost 3 quarters now, right? And you see basically 3 quarters of worth of data over here. Red ribbon, blue ribbon, red ribbon, blue ribbon, red ribbon. One thing for sure, though, is that there's a lot more red over here ever since this big giant red candle, ever since all these influence from whales, from institution. So we're still at an elevated level. It's just been chopping around. The question is this institutional just, accumulating, or are they distributing? As far as I can tell, I think what we're seeing here is there is a drastic increase in whale presence, but there's also a lot more traders over here playing games. There's just been a lot more traders over here kind of playing games over the last couple of months. I think the whales that wanted to be in, they're already in, and I think the rest of the whales might just be kind of waiting to see what happens on the next earning before determining what they want to do. And because the majority of the inflow happened over here, you're going to having some whiplash up and down over here. You also have, up and down these institutional retail data. That doesn't probably mean too much because the ribbon's also going up and down, and you get a lot of like these noisy candles here and there to help you trade. Sure, if you end up selling over here, you could make a profit. If you end up buying over here, you might make a profit up here if you sell, but you might end up, break even if you see a sell candle right here and you end up selling, right? The whole thing is that it's just been oscillating, and so has the data. It's just been showing the same thing. But I think it's helpful. It actually, if anything, is giving me a little bit more of a conviction because there's still a presence of institutions that's being in, and this big inflow right here has yet to be negated by any significant outflow from big money. And so far I'm still finding this to be pretty positive. If you look at the other data here, sure, we have a big giant sell candle over here. I think it's kind of played out already. Like if you look at the outflow over here, you have about 4 weeks of outflow, but outflow tends to be stopping. I actually see that over here actually it's kind of sloping up a little bit for last week. I actually think the outflow is kind of slowing down here pretty drastically, kind of like it did over here, right? So so far it's just been chops view. It doesn't really mean anything. But anyway, I just find these data to be quite interesting. And if you want to, follow my friend Danny, please do so. Again, his handle is Danny Cheng 2022. And this is just a very different way to look at the market, to look at individual stocks. He can do this for indexes. He can do it for a lot of stocks. He has used this to look at Tesla. And based on what he's been seeing with Tesla, he's been very skeptical about, the pumps that we've had for the first half of 2023. And he actually was able to preserve his capital to not be in the sadness of Tesla that's been going on for the last, several months or so. He also has been very bullish on Nvidia, just like me. I mean, I look at technical analysis in a very different way. But based on my technical analysis, based on his technical analysis, both of us actually still have pretty strong conviction that Nvidia is going to do pretty well moving forward. And if you want to see what his data is showing, what's really giving him that kind of conviction, please feel free to, follow him or sign up for his Patreon if you want. Again, I'm not getting paid for any of this. This is not really like a promotional thing. I just want to dispute that I'm not this guy. I'm a cat. And also, I'm not dating this guy. Now that I clarify those kinds of things, I'm pretty sure there's no more questions about those kinds of things on X, and there's not going to be anybody asking me about that anymore in the future. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. Bye.